All right. The first one is challenge.
Challenge. So I love the word challenge because I feel like people that are not challenged enough, they don't have emotional awareness and emotional control. And what I mean by that is anytime a stressful situation happens, from finances, career, family, the stranger in public, somebody in traffic, they allow everybody to control their reaction. And usually those people haven't really challenged themselves. So I see challenge starting with the mind and the body. So the body being fitness, a hard workout, running, lifting weights, whatever it is. And then also that correlates to the mental challenge.
All right, y'all. What's going on? It's your boy Easy Bake Oven. What's up, y'all? So today it's a little different. All right. Now, yeah, I used to hear ads run through my stuff for other people. All right. This is probably the first real time the ad is for me. All right. So P.S.A. Prodigy Sport Advantage Stations has expanded far beyond just the podcast. It is now a writing service. All right. And at that, a ghostwriting service. So we do it anonymously and take care of your needs. All right. Homework assistant, product and profile descriptions, grant writing, resumes, cover letters, templates, books, ghostwriter book too. Anything you can think of, articles, all that good stuff. PSA, the Ghostwriter Solution, can do it. So go over to PSAthepodcast.com and you can see all the services there with all their descriptions. Okay, because I know I missed some. And also you can reach out to me at theprodigyperspective@gmail.com and we can take care of all of that for you too. Peace. What's going on? Oh man. Well, we here again, trudging through the month and dropping hit after hit again. And like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing how we're going to redo Industry Plant. You know, we bringing that back, the mid-season series, and now it's going to be the end of the season series. So it won't be as long, but it may be like an extra 3 tracks. 4. I haven't decided yet. So when I decide, I'll let you know. But today's episode is going to be one I like because of the authenticity of it. I mean, they're all authentic, but especially this one because I think it's something we all need to do. It's kind of a mix of two different things, and we're gonna go into details of to both. But like one of them, as far as how young men, the young millennial men need to set challenges for themselves, and ways to turn our passion, ways to turn pain into fuel for whatever it is we're doing. And we've kind of talked about the second one a little bit before, but we're going more in detail with somebody who really gonna give their life story on it, as well as some tips for setting challenges for yourself. So first, let's get into this week's meme. The meme reads, "Stop seeking approval from people on social media about something you need or want to do." All right. I see that so much. Before I get into inspirations, let me just rant on that. I see that so much with people. They'll be talking about like, oh, should I go back to school? Or let me know what y'all think in the comments. Or should I go to school for fashion? Or should I work on my new clothing brand, or should I work on my new video game line? Why are you asking social media about that? Just do it. Really ask God first. But the social media, the last people, they don't know what you're supposed to be doing. And clearly you don't either. And that's the problem. But I just had to rant about that. But let's get into this week's inspirations. All right. So the inspirations for this week's only 2 come from my own challenges with alcohol, which I've discussed before and I'm going to discuss again, and my body transformation. And we'll get into that a little later as well. And also 2 Thessalonians 3:13, which says, "As for you, brothers, do not grow weary in doing good." I'm aware it can be hard to do the right thing, Most things that challenges are the right thing in a lot of cases, unless you're doing a challenge that's just stupid, like the one chip challenge. That's foolish, especially at your grown age. That's what the kids I worked with used to do. Somebody died from doing that. What do you get from that? I remember back in the day when we was like, what? I was in high school, like 2011, and they had the cinnamon challenge, like the big spoonful of cinnamon. Everybody recorded themselves. I never did that, but I watched y'all do it, and it was funny to watch. Okay, so let's move into one of my favorite. I would say they are my favorite, but one of my favorite segments, happy hour. Okay, for today's happy hour, I actually don't have much to talk about, but what I will speak on is just something that happened to me recently, and I want to share it. And I discussed it on Instagram, but a few weeks ago, but I got to discuss it again. This is a good thing. This from the good angle. I mean, we don't talk about the bad angle a little bit, but you never know who's watching you. Let me explain. So there are many ways I get guests on my podcast. There are many things that I do to collab with people. But in the last few weeks, there are people with huge followings who have reached out to me for business things, as for them to be on my show, to be on their shows, to have other little opportunities going on that I can't legally speak on just yet. And it was times where I'm posting content weeks, months, and whole seasons. It's season 7, but whole seasons, and I might be thinking like, dang, I ain't getting no views, or like, dang, this episode only got 60 views. Dang, it only got 4 likes on Instagram. Let me tell you something. One of them likes could be Diddy. You never know who's watching your stuff. And what I'm saying is them big wig people, they're typically looking for somebody who has a lot of potential because they want to build them up. I keep telling y'all, podcasting is the rap game. So it's the same thing. Like when Lil Wayne found Nicki Minaj on them steps. Look at her now. So you just never know who can, because if you got that eye, you can see who got the potential. You can see who has the potential. Like, I can work with them. I can get them the eyes. All they need to do is groom them, and boom. And when we say groom, we think of like not necessarily perverted, but we definitely think of something like some negative. All grooming is not bad. It's kind of like a coach. Like, say for instance, if you're an excellent coach, you got a kid, they got great potential in basketball. You like, let me just coach them for a little while. They're gonna be out. They're gonna be 10 times better. So it's kind of the same thing. You just need a little coaching and to be coachable, which kind of again correlates with what we're talking about today with setting challenges for yourself. And I'm big on doing it in secret, not to be secretive, but just more so because you don't need outside opinions a lot of times, especially when you're doing big stuff. And again, like I just mentioned earlier, with me losing weight, when I was losing weight, I didn't tell nobody I was about to lose weight. I woke up one day and said, I'm going to do this. I changed my diet in my house. I remember being out one time and one of my friends was like, I'm about eating candy. And I was like, oh, I ain't eating that right now. And then he was like, oh, you're on a diet. And everybody started laughing. And it was just like, nah, he's fat. So, yeah. But all right, y'all. I want to now introduce my guest. So this is somebody who I've done some research on. I'll say that, and I like what I saw. Some good stuff. They've been on several podcasts, and I'm sure they probably got more of them lined up in the weeks to come. So let me go ahead and introduce them. What is going on?
What's up, Izzy? How's it going, man?
I'm just living life. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So far, so good this month. Just blessed, focus, and winning. That's all we try to do.
Oh, okay. You winning. So you win. That's good to know. We're going to talk about winning a little bit this episode. But for my audio people, can you please tell the people what's your name, where you're from, and where do you live?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Derick Johnson. I'm from Pensacola, Florida, which is in the panhandle of Florida. It's 15, 20 minutes from Alabama, so Floribama area, if people are familiar with that. But long story short, I was U.S. Army for 10 years and then got into coaching before the military, during, and then after. But now I strictly do fitness and life coaching. So the whole intent is to help people identify patterns that are not helping them anymore so they can thrive and not just feel like they're surviving. So like some people, they crush it in one or two things and everything else they kind of push into the closet, slide under the rug, say I'm going to get to it January 1st. So that's that exact thing that we try to bring into the light without judgment and work on that. But yeah, man. So, and right now I live down in Panama and ready to get back to the States. So my girlfriend and I, we moved down here last year. And we just always wanted some time out of the country. But in December, we're going to head back to Florida. So just always needed that feeling to get out for a bit and to come back. So I definitely always highly recommend either traveling solo, traveling with your partner, or just up and selling everything on Facebook Marketplace and moving for a bit and then going back home. But I've always been that way to feel where I need to be.
Okay, so now, how far is Panama from Florida? Why did you pick Panama? And what is the weather like in Panama now?
Great questions, man. So it's a 2-hour flight from Miami. So it's straight down. It's at the top.
Yeah.
It's it's at the bottom of Mexico, but right above Colombia. So if people are
Okay.
familiar with Pablo Escobar and all that history, but just in general, it's right above Colombia. So you have the Panama Canal, which most people know, like a lot of cargo ships go through there. We chose it because of YouTubers. We honestly were on YouTube during quarantine and just watching travel couples. They went to different countries, and Panama stood out to us because we're like, one, it's safe. Two, the weather's just like Miami. Three, you have mountains, you have the beach, and you have the city. So it's kind of like New York meets Florida. And then there's like little to no crime except for money laundering. There's a lot of empty buildings here. So, hey, but at least there's no violent crime. But in general,
Yeah.
it's been a good experience. But we just wanted to be here about a year and a half, and then get back to Florida. But I would definitely recommend people even just to visit. There's a lot of American companies here, a lot of people from the South in the States that come here just for a vacation, and they just love Americans, like the culture. So like an example is before we moved here, we've never even visited here. We just chose it because of YouTube, and then like we're just sporadic people. In the airport when we got here, I was taking my luggage off of the belt. A cop comes up to me and he asks if I needed help. And obviously, as brothers, we were just not used to that, especially being in a different country, and I barely speak Spanish. So it just caught me off guard. And he was just genuine. And he opened the door for us, helped us get in the car, carried our stuff. And I was like, what? And this dude was like carrying an AK on his back and just helping us carry the luggage. And it just like changed the whole frame. And he just saw us as humans, didn't look at color, didn't look at anything. I was like, this is interesting. And they're just genuinely nice people. So it was good to see. And just that experience in itself, and just in general, meeting different cultures, eating their foods, getting those experiences. I just hope that more people do that because it's life-changing.
Okay, sounds good. What I was gonna say next? Yeah, I talked about this some weeks ago on the pod, months ago at this point, talked about how people on TikTok was they were traveling and talking about living in vans and stuff, and
Yeah.
living in like, and not trailers, but RVs. And they talked
Yeah.
about living in vans and RVs and traveling the country that way. So it's interesting seeing the stuff people just go and do from TikTok and YouTube, because it's not all bad stuff. It's good stuff too. So I'm glad you brought that up, and it's good to know. So jumping right into it,
Let's
you
get
brought
it.
up some great stuff already, which aligns with my next question, which is, what motivates and inspires you?
Great question, man. So what motivates me the most is to help people to see their potential, help people see their potential. So when I meet an individual, male, female, doesn't matter where they're from, their background, I can start to feel their energy and I see their version 10.0 in them. And like I just get excited. They start talking about their passion, their skills, what they're about, and like my brain just starts seeing the future for them, and I get pumped. And I just want them to succeed, win, and do whatever makes them happy and fulfilled. So just seeing that look in somebody's eye when they get clarity on their path in life, like they could be in a stressful situation right now or in the past, but once they start meeting other people that are hyped up about life and they just want to help people, they start to like talk about their passion, and you're actually listening to them, and they're like, oh snap, somebody's actually listening to me talking about my passion. Because usually friends, family we grew up with, people we went to school with, they're just like, oh yeah, Izzy's trying to do that little thing again. Hey Derick, how's that little fitness thing going? And they say these little side comments that get people to have their goal up here, and slowly but surely they start to diminish and lower their targets, their standards, and their goals. And next thing they know, they're just like everybody else they grew up with. And to each their own, but it's sad to see from the outside. So I just love doing the opposite. Somebody states their passion, I'm like, hey, tell me more. What got you into that? And they're just like, okay, nobody ever asked me that. So I just like giving people that energy because I just love seeing
Yeah.
people passionate about whatever they do, especially if it's something that I don't even know anything about. I just start asking questions. So definitely just seeing people win. And be excited and passionate about life, because life is just too short. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. And I feel like if all of us just got focused and really went all out, we'd be surprised what happens.
No, for real. I think sometimes people don't realize that a lot of their closest friends and family, not always intentionally, can be Debbie Downers, and
Oh, yeah.
they in their mind will think like, "Oh, you 6 years in doing this, you're not rich yet, give it up." But statistics say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, so keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you touched on a few things already. Like I said, it's just flowing nicely. So, can you share a bit about your upbringing in the South and how it shaped your perception of the world around you?
Yeah, for sure, man. So my father is African American. He's from Starkville, Mississippi. He's a country boy. So he grew up the oldest of multiple siblings. So he was the father for all the siblings. Mom was at work. He was in and off the farm, doing all that. My mother's German. So she grew up in the city in Germany. She was also the oldest, and she was also the mom of all her brothers and sisters. So both of my parents, they grew up poor, very poor, saw lots of drama, saw lots of crime, violence, didn't really have good father figures, saw their mothers getting beaten, like literally blood splattering on the wall, like all kind of crazy stuff. So growing up with those kind of parents, they were very strict, very disciplined, which was good. So my dad was US Army for 20 plus years. My mother was a kindergarten teacher for 40 plus years. So at home, structure was there, discipline and all that. But because of their upbringing, because of stuff they saw in life, violence, my dad being deployed 10 plus times, and just all these different things that they went through, they didn't necessarily give the love, quote unquote, that a family would have, like sitting down, having dinner together and all that, or saying the words, I love you. That just didn't happen in our house. It was more so like, get your ass up, get to work, hustle hard, learn, go to school. And like, it was good, like the discipline part, but the other side was lacking. So, one, had the positive trait. Two, I feel like people that deal with trauma. So mine came from both parents were also alcoholics. So they're very successful. They went from poor to successful in their careers and life, but they would binge drink a lot at night. And it was only at night. It never affected career, never affected their personal life. It was only after the cookout, after the get together. The last guest would leave, they close the door. Next thing they know, they would just release. Whatever's happening right now or from the past, they would just release. And the first time it happened, I was about 11 years old. And I just remember them screaming, just like throwing stuff. And I was just like, yo, what is going on? And then from there, that became the normal. So I would expect it at night between like 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. So I saw that until 17 when I moved out. But those experiences really shaped my path, because I feel like everybody that goes through trauma to an extent, we give what we didn't receive in our childhood. So like
Mm,
I didn't receive the love or the support. So that's why I cared so much to help my friends, my classmates, my teammates in sports and all that in school. So I would always try to build people up. And then everything just came full circle. So I really fell in love with building people up, but also working on myself. So growing up, being mixed, being light skinned, living in the South, I had to prove myself. So people thought I was soft. We moved from Germany to the South. I was on the basketball court, like, hey, who's this little punk ass light skinned dude? So I was like, hey, I don't want to get bullied in school and at home. I'm tired of this stuff. So I had to stand up to the bully. I knew martial arts. I was a black belt. So I had to bust a couple noses. And then from there, the respect went up. And they're like, yo, Derick's not scared. He's not typical. And internally, I was like, man, I didn't even want to fight, but I had to do it or else the bullying would have continued. So at
yeah,
home was a bullying, in school was a bullying. And I was like, yo, enough is enough. And then from there, everything shifted. Once I
yeah,
said to myself, I'm no longer allowing people, my family, whoever, control my reaction, that's when everything shifted. So dealing with those different things, I just got really inspired with working on myself. So fitness was my outlet. And then after that, in middle school, I transformed my body, and then teachers, classmates, and everybody was like, yo, what did you do? You used to be skinny, timid, have a stuttering issue. Like you were so scared and fragile and all that. And then I changed. And then from there, I just helped build people up, opposed to going the violent route and all that. So it was really interesting. So I truly feel that like life happens for us, not to us.
absolutely, absolutely. So, I want to say first of all, congratulations on all of your success with that. Not going having to go through what most people went through after those kind of traumatic events, like drugs and alcohol and, like you said, fighting everybody because you wanted to versus you was defending yourself those few times, but not going
Yeah.
around knocking people books out their hand,
Yeah.
pushing their lunch trays down or cussing them out because they stepped on your toe and then you beat them up and they like, oh my God. So,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good that you did it like that. So big ups to you. And again, people, these type of conversations are what push people to do right. And if they're not doing right, it'll kind of steer them to. All right. So now I have two words. I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, and there is no right or wrong answer. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. The first one is challenge.
Challenge. So I love the word challenge because I feel like people that are not challenged enough, they don't have emotional awareness and emotional control. And what I mean by that is anytime a stressful situation happens, from finances, career, family, the stranger in public, somebody in traffic, they allow everybody to control their reaction. And usually those people haven't really challenged themselves. So I see challenge starting with the mind and the body. So the body being fitness, a hard workout, running, lifting weights, whatever it is. And then also that correlates to the mental challenge. And I feel like the calmest people that make the best decisions, they've challenged themselves so much and they talk to themselves or like psych themselves out where they have better reactions to situations than most people. So challenge, I challenge people to challenge themselves more physically and mentally so they show up better when life happens or shit happens. They can make a better decision rather than acting on emotion. And they're like, yo, let me breathe. I'm good. Let's make the right decision.
All right. Well, you love that word. You'll be happy to see what we do later with that word. All right.
All
The
right.
next is secret. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word secret?
Secret. First thing that comes to mind is the misconception of secret. So, like, an example could be the secret of success. People are always searching. What is the secret? What is the secret? Is there a nugget? Is there wisdom? Is there all this? And if they really look at the most successful people, they've just been working their ass off for decade after decade. And people
Yep.
want to think that he or she is lucky. Oh, they had these parents. Oh, they had this upbringing. They had this. And not everyone, but most people, if you peel back the layers, you learn their backstory and they're like, dang, he went through that. She went through that. No wonder they're good at this, or no wonder they went this path. So, secret, stop thinking that there's a quote unquote secret to success and just see that people are just showing up all the time. Even if they suck at first, everybody's laughing at them. They just kept going and going and going. And whatever they're doing, music, coaching, fitness, speaking, whatever, everybody was yip yapping, family and friends. But their secret was they just kept going and stopped caring. So, secret, stop thinking that there's a quote unquote secret to success and just show up better for yourself.
All right. So the definition of challenge is a call to take part in a contest or competition, especially a duel. And then secret, the definition is not known or seen or not meant to be known or seen by others. So I think secret is really good for this conversation, seeing as, again, we talk about challenging ourselves and how young men in general need to challenge themselves. But it's best a lot of time to do it in secret. And of course, I'm going to go more into detail about that as we go along. So let's go into the one of our good segments today. First ones, which is, what does this have to do with mental health? As we know, this is the segment dedicated to mental health, how it correlates, and all that good stuff. So first, let's get into another question. So this podcast is about giving an edgy masculine perspective on mental health. How do you define masculinity, especially considering the traditional norms you were exposed to through your childhood?
I see masculinity as being the man that can show up, harness his own energy, and be able to protect his people. Protection doesn't always just have to be fighting, it could be resources, finances, and it doesn't mean we have to be rich. It could just be taking care of ourselves, our body, our mind. When we're in a better mental and physical state, that man can help serve other people better. He has control of his vices. And the vices for most men, drinking, alcohol, porn, too much scrolling on TikTok, watching ass jiggle, like whatever the thing is, it could just be alone time. Like some dudes, they just like will retreat for 2 weeks and you text your boy, you call him, he just looks at his phone when it rings or you text him and his vice is just
Mhm.
retreating. He doesn't say anything. So identifying what your vice is and attacking those things so those things don't control you. But definitely with masculinity is the man that has control of his physical body, mental health, and also just his overall well-being so he could show up better
Yeah.
for others and not be selfish and not like carry that anger from childhood or past relationship into everything they do and just be hyper aggressive. Just use that anger for something good to help people.
All right, good. So let's go into the first point I have for today. So it says this aligns with mental health because of for setting personal goals and self-efficacy. So the theory, so according to Albert Bandura's theory of self-efficacy, individuals who believe in their ability to achieve a goal are more likely to succeed in that endeavor. When young men set challenges for themselves in secret, they are creating personal benchmarks without external pressures or judgments. It then says that a study published in the journal Personality and Social Psychology found that higher self efficacy was linked to better health, higher achievement, and more effective problem solving skills. All right, so now you thrived in the U.S. Army and received Soldier of the Year 3 times. That's a lot. What mental strategies did you employ to handle the pressures of military life?
I honestly thought of family. I thought of family because when drill sergeants were in my face when I was 18, I was almost laughing. The reason why, because I was used to it at home. My mother's 5'4", crazy ass German woman, just in your face like this all the time. And then my dad is 6'3". So like every single day, every single night, I would like hear that stuff. So I would think of them, and then I would think of the present moment in the army, and I would say, "Oh, this is a walk in the park." Like, yeah, my mom would take all of y'all out. So I would see it like that. I would just see it as a game. So in life, in challenges, I always saw everything as a game. So I knew that they were trying to get me to break down, whether it's the drill sergeants, whether it's the mission, and I would always play along with it and say, "Hey, I'm in control of this game, and I'm going to win."
That's funny because your mom was the kindergarten teacher, correct, for 40
Yeah,
years?
yeah, yeah,
And so, and I'm gonna say this because as an ex-educator, so the kindergarten teacher was drunk at night, yelling in your face.
yeah, 100%. And it never affected school. She was the first one for 40 plus years at the school, unlocked the door, never missed a day unless she was sick and like in the hospital for a day or two. Besides that, it never affected. So it was crazy.
But that's what I'm saying because these teachers be one way at school and be the best teacher,
Oh yeah,
teacher of the year. I have seen it. Teacher of the year. Then outside of school, they either doing stuff like that. They either on the chandeliers at the club,
oh yeah.
swinging from vines like the monkeys. They be going crazy. So that's why it's funny. Actually, I'm not it's putting nobody's name out there. I'm gonna look in the camera. Some of y'all favorite teachers are do coke, and I've seen it. So just keep that in mind, people, because that's a real thing.
Hey, I'm from Florida. I've seen it firsthand. Just being out, like Mrs. So and so, like, hey, what? There, I'm like, hey, no
Yeah.
judgment. I seen it. I'm not gonna say nothing, but yeah, it's wild.
The second one is intrinsic motivation. It says, according to self determination theory by DC and Ryan, intrinsic motivation, where one engages in an activity for inherent satisfaction rather than external rewards, leads to more meaningful and sustained engagement. It then says that research has shown that the intrinsic motivation leads to better learning outcomes, higher levels of well being, and better performance in tasks. When young men set secret challenges, they might be driven by their intrinsic motivation, which can positively affect their mental health. So the next question to you. Well, first of all, let me recap on that. I like that because you motivated to set this challenge in with just you, the man in the mirror that you have to look at every day. I think that's good because when you succeed with it, you can pat yourself on the back and say you don't always need the motivation. I know when I decided to take 30 days of not drink alcohol,
Yeah,
and I went 30 days, and my relationship with alcohol is not the same because it just I wasn't drunk, but it got to the point where it was just like, oh, I'm out at dinner, let's get a drink. Oh,
yeah,
let's have a shot. And then it gets to the point where it's like everything you do centers around alcohol. And like I said, you might not even be drunk. You may literally have a drink. So it got to the point where now I don't feel the desire to even have it. It's just kind of like,
awesome.
it's so many. I like being, and that's a challenge for me, like being in these industries and in this world, still being a life of the party, but being a person that don't drink like that no more. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say I'll
Yeah,
never have one again. The goal is not to at this point now. when I first got off and came back and the 30 days was up, I was doing it like here and there. But the goal now is to not do it at all no more and still be fun and still be, it's not, because I know people who don't drink that be sometimes the life of the party by everybody that was drunk.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something for this age group to keep in mind. Now, for you, I want to know, why do you think people struggle mentally so much nowadays?
I feel like the biggest reason is they do not have control of their attention. And what I mean by
Mm.
attention is he or she cannot do deep work for more than a few minutes. Like 10 to 30 minutes is the cap. A notification goes off, an email. And it could be as simple as like, here's a free appetizer thing. They start looking at it. Next thing they know, they check all their emails. A like on Instagram, this and that. So it's like notifications on the phone, people, pets, family, kids, strangers, ads online. People do not have control of their attention. And the ones that do, they're the ones that keep going up, even if life happens. Like he or she has been dominating in music, in coaching, in sales, like whatever they've been doing, they've just been saying, like, hey, I'm going to do this. And that's all they do. They just keep getting better and better. While I think the biggest issue with society is they do not have control of their attention. Everything and everyone wants your attention right now. And the best people, men and women, that do well in their careers, they have control of their attention. They can say, yo, for the next 2 hours, I'm just doing this. I'm gonna knock that out, and then we'll go eat, or then we'll go to dinner, then we'll go do whatever's next. But I think that's truly the biggest thing. And a key example is go in public anywhere, and everybody's like this. Everybody's chin is down at the dinner table, the kids, the wife, everybody's having their own little world while they're actually together, but they're never together. And like even in public, people get really uncomfortable in a social setting and they just like revert to their cycle. And their cycle could be a loop. They hit Instagram, they hit Amazon, they go to TikTok, they go to email, they put their phone away. Then they start looking around. Oh, I'm nervous. Then they start doing their loop again. And it's sad to see, but if you really people watch, just sit it in public for 10 minutes, you'll see everybody does it, all ages, kids to adults. And it's scary to think about, but people that do have control of what they consume with technology, they have more control of their focus. But definitely attention, I think, is one of the biggest things because people's attention span is lower than ever. Even mid-conversation, somebody could just be texting. You're pouring your heart out, talking about your passion. They're like, no, I was listening. And you're like, yo, you've been looking at your phone this whole conversation. And they're not even
Yeah.
with you. They're just like, that's why I don't tell anybody nothing. Like, I'd rather just talk to my dog because she listens.
See, you the reason. I'm not telling you nothing else. Oh, that's funny. All right. The third one is sense of mastery and achievement. Completing personal challenges, especially in secret, can provide a sense of mastery. This feeling of accomplishment known to enhance self-esteem and overall well-being. A study in the Psychological Bulletin indicated that feelings of mastery and competence are directly linked with lower levels of depression and higher levels of physical and psychological well-being. The fourth one is reduced performance anxiety. By keeping challenges secret, young men alleviate the external pressures and potential fear of judgment, thus reducing performance anxiety. I'm gonna read this, then I'm gonna say what I gotta say. So, according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America (ADAA), roughly 40 million adults in the U.S., 18.1% experience an anxiety disorder. While now all of these cases are tied to performance anxiety, which we did an episode on that a little while ago, creating environments or strategies that reduce potential stressors like judgment from others can be instrumental in promoting mental well-being. Now, going back to weight loss, I remember before I lost weight, I had made a joke one time with some people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna lose like 30 pounds just talking. I said, you
Yeah.
won't lose no weight. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, you don't need that. Sometimes I say do it, but you have to have a mindset like me. Like sometimes intentionally say that stuff so somebody can tell you can't do it so that you
Yeah.
can do it. But then I will say that can be a little toxic because now you're trying to go so hard just to prove people wrong. So I don't want you to do that either. So, but sometimes if you know how to balance it mentally, I would say do that just so they could tell you you can't so that you can do it. Ooh, now I got ads in the middle too. All right, y'all. So I'm betting on myself even more. We already knew about the ghostwriter solution, right? Well, guess what? The ghostwriter solution is now on Fiverr. That is right. You know how like artists be having like ghostwriters and stuff like rappers, some rappers, and like singers and songwriters. Well, guess what? I am the podcast ghostwriter. What does that mean? Content for your website, any show notes, any podcast descriptions, anything that'll make your podcast easily searchable, any other thing podcast related that requires writing, I can do it. You can also reach out to me personally. Obviously, it's the same email as earlier. theprodigyperspective@gmail.com. But you can also book my services on Fiverr. Now, I will be expanding more services, but for right now, I'm just a podcast ghostwriter. And I also can help with newsletters too for podcasts. So tap in.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah. Do you think that has some stuff, a little bit of trauma? You think that's a little trauma response that?
No, I think it's 50-50. Some people, they have a competitive nature. Like they just love that aggression. So I'll use an example. I say we both like hip hop. Let's think of 50 Cent. If somebody likes him or doesn't, they got to respect it. He thrives off of beef. Even if it's not real, he'll just create a thing. When it goes to sports, if people look at Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, if people watch The Last Dance, the documentary on Michael Jordan, he used to create scenarios saying that so-and-so says something, even if they didn't, just to go harder. So I think some people, they just have that fire in them that they'll literally create a scenario and they're like, yo, what is he say? What did Ashley say? Okay. And they take a mental note and then they just go harder. And people are like, yo, Izzy's like half animal,
Yeah.
half machine. Like, you see how much he's done lately? But you just created this scenario in your head thinking everybody's talking about you. So I think it's 50-50. Some people, not everyone, can do that, and they can harness that anger, that pain, that fire, and they can use it in good. But the other half, it doesn't really work for them because they might always try to prove that person wrong, and then they hit the goal and the person still doesn't care, or they still get laughed at by the same person. Then they're like, all right, what's up now? And then they hit the goal and they're still not fulfilled or happy. So I think it's 50-50 depending on the person. Some people, they have that fire in them, and some, they're just looking for the validation. So I think person two, it does stem from their childhood and trying to prove themselves to people, whoever it is.
All right, good stuff. All right, so I said you like the word challenge. So let's go into the next segment, which is I challenge that. Okay, so how this segment works is we kind of challenging what we're talking about for today. So we're talking about doing challenges in secret. Are there times when, we maybe shouldn't set challenges for ourselves or realize some things we just shouldn't do? So let's get into that. So when we talk about some, like setting a challenge for yourself, like maybe, for example, say, what's a good one? Say, for instance, you trying to maybe, oh, here we go. This is a great one. You got to go out of town.
Yeah.
You may could accomplish this, but say you got to go out of town. You decide to clean your house, wash all your clothes, wash your car, work out, record a P.S.A. the Mental Health Podcast episode, edit that video, all the same day you have to go out of town. I think that might be a little foolish, personally. Now, I've done things like that before, but in reality, I think it's a little foolish because sometimes you biting off more than you can chew, and it's okay to not do those challenges where it's just like foolish. Like, that's just too much. Like, why are you trying to do all that in one day? You're gonna have a heart attack, or say, for instance, if you get work done by P.S.A, the ghostwriting solution, and all of a sudden I got a grant, a technical assignment to do. I got to review somebody's homework before and then send them back the edits. I have to do some consultation. I got to do all this and decide to do them all on one day.
Yeah.
And they're all due that day. That's stupid. Why would you do
Yeah.
yourself like that?
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about some of the challenges you may want to do for yourself. So obviously I brought up losing weight. Maybe you don't know how to dress and you want to learn how to dress. You have to understand that's a process, and don't necessarily tell everybody, I'm going to learn how to dress. Just start popping out with some clothes. Do some research on YouTube University, or ask your fly friends some things, and then just start popping out with stuff. And they're like, oh, you look, I like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got to
Oh
tell
yeah.
everybody, oh, I'm learning how to dress. Like, just do it. Like Nike. Learning about investing. I'm just getting into that. I'm not on Instagram saying I'm going to learn how to invest. Like, just do it. Changing your careers. That's a good one. Sometimes you don't have to announce that. You just can kind of just just kind of do it. And then the last one I think is a good one, especially for young men: practicing semen retention or abstinence. You don't have to let people know that, only because if you already struggle with it and you openly talk about it, it's going to be people, I feel like, demonically influenced to try to get you to throw it, like, oh, that's stupid, you young, just do this. And it's like, you may be doing this for you. Maybe it's between you and God, or maybe you just want to do it just for you.
Yeah.
I think that you need to watch. You just never know who could try to get you off. So wait, hold on, that don't sound right, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah. We got you.
Um, All right. Now, huh? Like it didn't you didn't catch it at first, and then after I said it, I was like, wait, no, wait, hold on, y'all. Now, this leads to the next question, which that was a great segue actually. Regarding friendships and relationships, what advice would you give to people about that, especially in a topic like this?
So in a topic like this, I would say with your friends in that relationship that you have with them, are you guys open about your goals and your path in life? And what I mean by that is some people will have a totally different version of success than you do, and there's no right or wrong, but if you have a similar version, awesome. If you have an opposite version, that's also cool, but do you guys support each other? So I always see everything on an energy level. So let's just say my boy Matt sends me a text, yo, just got a promotion. I'm literally going to give the same energy even if it's 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. I'm gonna be like, Matt, that's amazing. Or we might talk on the phone. It might be Facebook Messenger, but I'm genuinely excited about him. There's no competition. There's no jealousy. I'm just like, yeah, my boys are winning. I love it. That's one example. Example two, it could be the same scenario, and your friend is like, oh, well, we can't all get a promotion like you, Izzy. You know, you and they'll say some little slick side comments. So really assessing your friendships, are they like example one or example two with that person? Because sometimes that person might be holding you back, or they might just be like draining your energy where you're like, man, I don't even want to tell him or her anything because they always got something slick to say, something negative to say. Like, I'm
Yeah.
super excited about a promotion. They're just like, oh, well, we can't all be, and they're just like, and then they get annoyed about it. So I would look at your circle to see, do they give you the same energy? And the same thing with you, do you give your friends the same energy? Even if they need you just to talk to, like they're going through a stressful, traumatic situation, will you be that lending ear at midnight just to let your friend rant for 20 minutes? And he's like, yo, I don't need any advice. I just need to get this off my chest. I trust you. Boom. Will you and I actually listen to that friend? And if it's the same with the positive, it's the same with the negative, I think those relationships and friendships are the best. So I would really just assess your circle to see who gives you the same energy and do you give it to them? Because sometimes people expect it, but they don't give it. Or they give it, but they don't receive it. So I would look at that happy medium. And not everybody's perfect, but I feel like the best long-term relationships and friendships are if everybody just wants to level up together. They're there for you, you're there for them, vice versa, and you guys celebrate each other's wins. And it's sad to say that it's so rare to see nowadays. Like, that's a big reason a lot of my friends I grew up with I really don't talk to, because it just was a one-way street from either end. And I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, love you from a distance. If you truly need something, I'm here. But yo, I can't hear these like side slick comments because that all stems from insecurities. But yeah, definitely assess the circle to see, are you given the same energy and do you receive that same energy?
All right. Good stuff. Definitely. All right. So now let's move into this other question I have for you. So we talked about friendship, relationships, all that good stuff. So can you discuss the role daily discipline played in your life, both during your time in the U.S. Army and now in your coaching career?
Yeah, definitely. So morning process, I'm a huge component and I focus on the morning process. So not everyone has to wake up at 4 or 5 a.m., but I've always challenged myself to have a morning process that empowers me. So some mornings I wake up happy, some mornings I'm stressed, some mornings I just wake up pissed off for no reason. Had a nightmare, had sleep paralysis, just whatever the enemy's trying to test me. But I make sure to say, when I run to the gym and I walk or run home and I have a glass of water, have breakfast, take a shower, I'm going to have such high frequency that no matter how I was feeling 1 hour or 2 hours ago, people will never know. I get on a call, I see people in public. So, morning routine, just my opinion, I truly feel is one of the most important things ever, because if you can control it to be more empowering and be more grateful, that sets the tone for the entire day. And it sounds so basic, so simple. Most people are like, oh, yeah, I've heard that. I know that. But if you actually look at them, they hit snooze 5 times. They scroll when they wake up. They're scrolling in bed for 20 minutes. They're late. Anxiety goes up. They're stuck in traffic. They're late to everything. And it's just like they haven't even been awake 45 minutes and their stress and anger is so far up because they were reactive. So definitely the morning discipline of being proactive, having an empowering morning to feel like you're in control of it. So when life does happen that day, you have a better reaction than just feeling like, yo, it's not even 7 a.m. and everybody needs me. Everything's going on. Like, shit, I haven't even had time for myself yet. But that just makes that person reactive. So definitely the daily discipline of owning your morning routine, your morning ritual, whatever somebody wants to call that.
Okay. Now, I think about, are there times when we shouldn't challenge ourselves in secret? I believe that's something you probably have to personally gauge. I'm sure in some areas,
Yeah.
but I know for sure it's like if you want that accountability, and that's the main thing, which this generation does not like.
Yeah.
But wanting accountability and needing they don't, and needing accountability as far as like, hey y'all, trying to eat pork no more. Don't, if you see me eating pork, make it public. So then if they see you, you're gonna have somebody. Oh, I thought you wasn't doing it no more. Or, oh, I thought you wasn't smoking no more. Or I thought you said you wasn't going to the club no more. What you doing here? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you have to have those people hold you accountable. And that's why when I did my alcohol challenge, because I had a friend who said he wanted to do it and he was like, he was gonna do it in secret. And he's a big drinker. So I'm like, maybe you should do it publicly. So then that way you have them eyes on you. That way you can't, you're not going to do it off the strength of, I done made these types of posts. I got to live up to what I say. Cause you see it so many times.
Yeah.
I believe you should lose weight in private because you see so many times. Here's why. You see so many times on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, Facebook, people post these stories about losing weight. And you the fitness guys, you can tell me. And they'll be at the gym day 1. And then they'll be day 2. And then day 3. And then they stop going because something happened. They missed a day. See, me, I got the discipline. I got 2 days built off in my schedule. I'm cool. And if I do more than that, missing that, it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
But everybody don't have that. So if they miss a day, it's like, they like, oh, I'll go tomorrow. Then it end up being 2 weeks they done missed and they back to where they was. So I think in those cases, me personally, you can tell me what you think. I think that when you're trying to lose weight, I think you should do that privately. That's just me. But what you think?
Yeah. So I think that it's 50-50 depending, excuse me, depending on the person, but it could be in private. Like, let's just say their social media private, as in they don't post it, or and like in your case, you talk to your friend and you guys stop drinking for a bit. If you have that one person in your life and y'all don't post about it, I think that can really help as well. So it could be private from social or the internet, but it could also just be to that one
Mm-hmm.
person that you truly trust and that just wants to see you win. Like they're at that same level. And then you can surprise people on Facebook, like, yo, this is Izzy. And then from there, you're like, I don't even care about the negative comments. There's going to be 90% positive, 10% going to say some slick shit. And everybody else can be like, oh, he took some crazy stuff. He got surgery. And then you're like, this is wild. Like, how do y'all come up with this stuff? But yeah, so definitely 50-50. One
No,
for the
yeah.
person. Go ahead. I think there's a
No, I
lag.
was
I
just gonna
think my
say, yeah,
Wi-Fi is
no, they
slow.
get okay. I think you caught up now. You caught up now. No, I was just gonna say, a lot of times I have heard they try to make. I mean, they wasn't serious, I don't think, but they did say I did coke. I didn't do coke, but I have heard it. I mean, it's funny. I laughed, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So now let's move into the next segment, which is the weekly sabbatical. And in the weekly sabbatical, we know that's our time. We just kind of reflect on some things. So, first question. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Great question. I would tell him to keep going, keep his faith strong, and know that life happens for you, not to you. Keep going, keep your faith strong, and know that life is happening for you, not to you, because it's just all about perspective.
Okay. Next question. Good answer, by the way.
Appreciate
As
it.
a leader, what common traits have you noticed in people?
As a leader, so definitely seeing the people that consistently win, they have that competitive nature. Maybe he or she played sports. Maybe they were in band. If you're from the South like me, you know about battle bands, you know about in middle school, high school, like they will practice like crazy. People used to make fun of band people, but if you're in the South, you know they usually outwork the athletes. So one, competitive athlete. Two, maybe they're in band. Three, maybe they have some crazy life trauma. But those three people, they usually succeed in whatever they do because they have that fire in them. Competitive side, trying to prove themselves right, trying to prove somebody wrong, using that fire and that pain as fuel, or they just want to like just dominate in their path. But those are common things with those three people. Other people, they need more of the accountability. And there's nothing wrong with that. Those people can definitely succeed at the same level or higher. But those are definitely some common things I've seen is the fire, the competitiveness. And then some people, they just love that camaraderie, being part of a team, being part of a classroom, being part of a group setting. They thrive off other people's energy.
Okay. All right. And my last question before I move into the tips for my people. What steps should someone take to take control of their situation?
Great question. So I would say step one is to grab a sheet of paper, grab a pen, and write out a list of things that you could eliminate that do not serve you. So we could start with something as simple as what do you eat and drink when you wake up and throughout the day? What do you consume when you pick up your device? Are you watching the negative media? Are you worried about celebrity gossip and drama? What are you doing? How is your internal dialogue? How do you speak to yourself? How do you speak to others? So really going through every step, but to pinpoint what can I eliminate that is not serving me right now. So instead of adding to your routine, changing your schedule, waking up earlier, waking up later, staying up later, all those things sound great, but most people they won't be consistent with it. But definitely in my experience, one of the best things that helps is to first get rid of some things before we try to change or add anything. What could I get rid of that is not serving me right now? And it's usually really small things. Like they open their fridge, they open their pantry. What do they grab? They grab their phone. What do they look at? They go to a social setting. Who do they talk to? Because all those things can drain their energy or they can add to it. But first is grab that sheet of paper, get that pen, and really be transparent with yourself, but not judgmental. You don't want to be angry about it. You don't want to be annoyed. You just want to say, you know what? Let me look at this from the outside. What are some things that I could do that are not serving me? Hey, I need to start drinking more water instead of sweet tea. Hey, I need to stop scrolling so much and create more content instead of consume. So really writing out that eliminate sheet.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, y'all. So as always, I do my research and I give my tips that I think will be good. This conversation has been great, which I knew it was going to be, but especially some tips and tricks for you to challenge yourself for young men. So from this article, and you can Google this article because it says advice for young men, 16 key tips for the modern man to follow. So although it's 16 tips, I picked 6 that I feel like align best with this conversation. And if you want to look at the other 10, you can go search it yourself and do that. So this is the 6 I think will be good for this. And kind of going with some things we covered already. So the first one is set bold career goals. Goal setting leads to success. There's something magical about writing down your goals that actually turns them into reality. Your goals should be aspirations of all that you hope and aspire to be, and your professional career is no exception. Your career goals should, of course, be something that is achievable. You probably can't become CEO of a major company overnight. Write out your goals, create a plan, list of steps to get there, and then get to work. Make sure the goals are measurable as well. However, to ensure you know when you have achieved the end result, be able to track the progress. This is important. So set some metrics that you can actually monitor. The second one I briefly discussed, which was gain basic financial literacy. So once you're out of school and not dead broke, you'll begin work. And once you begin to work, you acquire a sense of independence. So it says learning basic financial literacy is one of the most important pieces of advice for young men, and it's a shame that it isn't taught in schools. This can be stuff like how to budget your spending, how to start investing, how to ask for a raise, and how to pay off debt faster. You hear about the debt paying off debt faster, investing, and we also hear about budgeting and tracking, but you never hear about how to what's the word I'm looking for? You never think about how to hear about how to ask for a raise because, like I tell people all the time,
Oh yeah.
everyone's not going to be entrepreneurs. Some people are just going to be, and that's okay. That's not shade. Some people are going to have a corporate job to the day they die. That's fine. But there's certain things you need to know how to do. And I'm a firm believer in that. Okay. The third one
100%.
is I think you said what?
I was just saying 100%. Like knowing how to talk to get that promotion, get that raise is
Yeah.
definitely.
The third one, I'm not even gonna have any d- data to go with it. Just the third one from the website. Stop making excuses. That's simple. I stop making excuses. If you did something, own it. Agree with your enemy quickly. Just say, "Yep, I did it. I take full accountability for it." That's it. Don't make excuses. You know what I mean? Even if it's justified, I've learned, even if your excuse is justified, it'll come out later and you'll be vindicated. So it's hard to do in the moment. I'm sure. Trust me, I know. But some stuff you just have to learn to let ride. The fourth one I thought was interesting, which is learn manly skills. So let's be clear about one thing. Being manly doesn't mean macho or being aggressive. It also has nothing to do with immense value more traditionally feminine skills have on the world or downplaying those skills. So that's not the red pill guys on YouTube saying
Yeah,
that women should do this and men should do this
yeah,
only. We ain't gonna
exactly.
get into that.
She should
It
make more time.
says, so what are classic it says, so what are some classically manly skills that are worth learning? So it says taking care of your home or car, construct something with your hands, basic plumbing skills, cooking and barbecue, how to start a fire, little stuff like that. That's what you should know how to do. And if you don't, go learn.
Oh yeah.
The fifth one is start a side hustle or passion project. Some people are interested in arts, where others are interested in tech or manual labor, working with their hands. Starting a side hustle is immensely valuable for a few reasons. And this is good because you can provide yourself and the people you love with essential tools. So bettering your finances never hurt, especially doing things that you love. And the sixth one, which I want you to touch on a little bit with what you do at the end, invest in your health. Another life lesson for young men is to take care of yourself and prioritize your health. Taking care of yourself and your health, both physically and mentally, will cause you to be much happier and healthier. You'll also drastically reduce the likelihood that you suffer from various chronic diseases, stress, or put on excess weight. Plus, as this awesome video from the Art of Manliness shows, there are truly some basic physical skills everyone should possess just for from a purely survival basic perspective. So now, as the fitness guy, what are your tips for fitness? For everyone's not going to be ripped up and have six pack, and they just not. But what are some tips for those to stay healthy, to be healthy, and be physically, fit to some extreme, to some extent?
Yeah. So great question. So I would first start by them telling themselves in their head or out loud that people depend on me and I could change my family tree. People depend on me and I could change my family tree. So, yes, it is going to be a selfless thing. Some people would call it selfish, but when you take care of you, you're selfless and you can show up better for others. So, think of who you love and who loves you or who looks up to you, even if you don't have kids. There's a kid down the street, there's a kid in your family that looks up to you. And as you see that, kids do as they see, not what they're told. So I like to think of that first to say, people depend on me. How can I show up better for others? Because if he or she sees me, they're going to want to improve themselves as well. Opposed to just doing it from a strictly selfish standpoint, seeing that people look up to you. Even if they don't think somebody does, somebody's always watching. So starting with that, but also knowing that when their energy is up and their confidence is up, every other area in their life will correlate to that energy. Like the people that are confident in their body, they're excited. Easy, you might be like, yo, I went 45 days straight doing this thing. Confidence is up. Students feel it. People feel it. Strangers in public, they're like, man, his energy is different. People will feel that. So what can you do to show up better physically and mentally? And just remind yourself that that's going to spill into everything. And a key example of the opposite is we all know somebody financially really successful, but they're obese. They got a drug problem. They've had 3 divorces. They drink too much. And we're not saying that success is bad or money is bad, but he or she neglected their basic health and they're not happy, even though they have the money, quote unquote, or whatever success. So look at the positive side. People depend on you, and also look at the example of how you don't want to end up like. And we're not judging, but we just want to be better and well-rounded in every area, and it is possible.
It definitely is possible. It definitely is. All right. So now let's move into the final segment for today, which is game time. All right. Today's game is called Set Up or Settle. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to tell me whether or not this person should set up or settle? You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. First question. Given a choice between taking a safe job offer or pursuing a risky passion project, would you settle for potential greatness or settle for immediate security?
Set up.
The second one, imagine being presented with two paths, one involving stepping up out of your comfort zone to achieve your dream, while the other offers a comfortable, predictable life. Would you settle for personal growth or settle for familiar comforts?
Set up.
All right. If you could either accept a mentorship from someone who challenges and pushes you to your limits or stick with a laid back peer group that never pushes boundaries, would you set up for the potential mentorship or would you settle for the potential advancement or would you settle for easy camaraderie?
Set up.
All right. You faced with a chance to invest in an innovative startup that could either boost or bust versus keeping your savings in a standard bank account and the money you had saved for another project that you want to do. So would you set up to keep your savings and keep your other project going or would you settle for the investing?
I would definitely set up.
Okay.
Put put that
All
into the
right, last
passion.
one. Imagine being offered a year long. Okay, yeah. All right, the last one. Imagine being offered a year long sabbatical to travel, learn, and challenge yourself in new environments, but the risk of losing your current job stability. Would you set up for the adventure and growth, or would you settle for the security of your current position of your dream job?
Set up because of the life experiences. You might find something even better or get skills that you need.
All right, good stuff. Okay, we love the honesty. Last thing for the day. All right, so now this is for y'all. I want you to tell me what is something you plan to challenge yourself with. Also, give me a timeline of this project. So make sure y'all do that. And so y'all can Wednesday out some money because I know y'all can help with that either 15, 20, $25. No, 10. Is it 10? It's 10. It's 15. No, 10, 15, or 25. Yeah, yeah. So you can be a person that wins some money. All right, so this is a great conversation. So, anything else you want to lead the people with today?
Yeah, Izzy. So I just challenge people to see what can they do to become the man or woman that they would be proud of, and how can they give him or her to the world? What can they do to become the man or woman that they would be proud of, and how could they give him or her to the world? Because I truly feel that's why we're all here. We all have our own level of pain, trauma, stress, childhood stuff. But when we can harness that energy, heal ourselves, we can help other people, and it does not have to be our career. We could literally make an impact just by being there for others, time, lending ear, resources, coaching, teacher, whatever it is. So take care of you. And how can you give that person back to the world or somebody else?
All right, y'all. Good stuff. Thank you for pulling up today. It's a great episode. Next week is episode 17 of season 7. So, this one's been a good one. So, as always, y'all, P.S.A. signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And I love us for real.